Everybody, Gabe here from Team Genius. I will start in just a couple minutes here as we're letting people in. We got a fair amount of people in the room right now. Feel free to share your video if you want, unmute yourself, and you can certainly share what club you're from if you want before we get started, and where you're joining from. I'm also going to make this a little bit interactive, so if you have Team Genius on your device, feel free to follow along with some of the things I'm doing. I can give you guys the ability to log in and follow along with that.
I'll go first. Rick Rohn, Director of Operations, Southern Minnesota Select Soccer.
Rick, glad to have you on here. We got 3 o'clock here, and we still got people joining, so we'll keep it open and won't get started quite yet, but exciting stuff to go over today. Got some more people joining. So today we're going to kind of do the same format as we did for the last one. We're going to do a kind of quick walk through all the new stuff we've rolled out, some of the new release things, and then we're going to walk into some Q&A. So anything that you guys want to bring up for the second half an hour, you're certainly welcome to do that, but the first half an hour is going to be mostly me walking through all of the new items. If you have a big question that comes up, certainly feel free to stop me, put your hand up, ask a question. Certainly like questions coming in as we're running through the new things. Kind of brief synopsis of what we're going to roll through is we have a new mobile player check-in, which is one of the things that is probably what you saw when you decided to join this webinar today. We also have actually just a lot of stuff we've rolled out, but new this week, we have the ability to wait sessions, and then also the ability to wait evaluators. Something that a lot of organizations have asked is to be able to have the ability to wait evaluators. So we're going to go through those today as well. Anybody joining, feel free to unmute yourself. And if you want to share where you're from, we're also going to just wait just a couple more minutes as we have people joining today. And will be a good learning day for new features in Team Genius. And feel free to follow along if you want to from the mobile app. Looks like we're at 3:02. I want to give us 2 more minutes to get started here. We've got people from lots of different clubs all over the US on here right now, it looks like. If you haven't met me, I'm Gabe, the head of customer success here at Team Genius, and come to show you guys all of our new features. All right, 1 more minute and we'll go live here with jumping into this. Again, any questions you've got, you can feel free to save them till the second half an hour, or anything that you want, you can also bring up as we're going through this as it pertains to any of the different things we're looking at. All right, I'm going to share my screen here, and I'll keep watching as we have people in the waiting room coming in. Share my screen to my desktop. And share. All right, can everybody see my Team Genius window all right? And then if there are any audio issues, please let me know in the chat or any other areas that if it's not coming through clearly enough. So we've got a sample evaluation that I built out here in Team Genius with some of the newest features that we've rolled out. I have this example I've titled 2020 Winter Evaluations. So I'm going to go into the home screen, which is where I am now. As soon as I log in here, you can see my general access key. So this access key, I've got 6YA4C. In the setup of this evaluation, I've got it set up so that I've got a couple different evaluation schedule sessions set up, which I'll show you what those look like. The biggest things that you want to do if you're going to have people come in, evaluators, or people that are going to be coaches or different levels of people checking players in from the mobile app, is you'll need to download the most recent version of Team Genius for either iOS or your Android device. Then you will need to go inside of Team Genius and go into user permissions. This will be inside of the individual assessment. Inside of that individual assessment, we're going to come and go into the left-hand side and go into user permissions. And then we've got people that we've set at various levels of user permissions in this account before. To invite people, you'll need to go to invite user, put in their email address, and then go to player check-in only. So you need to enable the player check-in level of access for anyone that you want to be able to use the mobile check-in option inside of the Team Genius app. This will send them an email to the email address that you put in here. They'll then be able to set a password, and they'll be able to use that password to get access to check players in the mobile app. So we've got the evaluation set up. I'm going to click on home. So let's imagine that you've invited the different users that you are going to have check players in with the mobile app. I'm going to click on the home screen, and I'm going to use this evaluation key to log in. So I'm going to move my iPad over here so you can see what I'm doing. I got my iPad. I just want to make sure that I'm sharing the right screen with my iPad. All right, so sharing my iPad. So as you see my iPad here, I'm going to click opening Team Genius and click on the Team Genius app. So we've got Team Genius open. Now I'm going to put in that access key. You will have the people that are going to be able to check players that need to use an access key as well. So they'll use the name, email address, and then the access key. So this example is 6YA4C. So if anybody wants to, you can certainly log into this evaluation as well and see what it looks like from the inside while we're going through it. I've got these put in here. I'm going to hit sign in. It's connecting to that evaluation. I've got this one set up so that I've got 3 sessions. So I've got games 1, 2, and 3. Again, different views. So I've got my iPad here. I can switch it to the side view that you can have a nice large screen with the iPad. Game 1 is the one I'm going to go into. Again, with the different sessions set up, you can have these so that you'd only see one of these at a time. Actually, I'm going to go into my skills evaluation, and I can see my different players that I've already got here. I can, in a traditional setup where you're not checking players in, you could proceed to scoring right away. I'm going to hit the plus button here, and this is where you see the new feature for the ability to check players in on the mobile app. 1 second here. Admitting a couple more people to the webinar. So now I can go and put in my password. So for this one, if anybody wants to give this a try too, you can see my email address. It's skellygabe@gmail.com. And then I set the password for this one as Coach2020 with a capital C. COACH 2020. Log in. So now it's going to log me in a variation of the screen that you'd see if you had that player check-in access from the version that you'd be able to use on your computer that you're used to right now. So I can see the players that I've got that are already registered in here. I can click on one of these players to change their registration. So I can click on this player, and I could, if I did different player pools, I could move their player pools. I can change their evaluation group. Give them a new number. This one's going to be 107. Then I can hit save. I can also take pictures. So when I'm in that add players, I can click on one of these players. I can change some details around. So maybe change their jersey number. So they're actually going to be number 4S. And then I can go up and I can actually take their picture from here as well by clicking on the picture up at the top, switch it around, use my device to take a picture. And then it's going to, oh, it didn't see that because I did not have my face totally uncovered by my hand. Take a picture, I'm gonna hit use photo. It just found my face. Now I'm gonna hit save, go back, and once I refresh, then you'll be able to see my face there. You can also easily use this to add players that are walk-up players. So, and if you're having problems joining into the meeting, please let me know. Looks like we had one person that got kicked out and is coming back in at least. So we've got the ability to add walk-up players too. So, one of the big functionalities that you got, if you got players out on the field coming up for registration, it enables the ability to already add in players that you've got that are, pre-registered, add in their number so that they're fully available for scoring, but you can add those walk-up players too. So I can click add walk-up player, and I'm going to actually switch it back to the more phone view, and I'll do Gabe. My last name is K-O-L-Y, a little variation of my name, my birthday. You can set the birthday of your players. You can see that you've got a picker here for that. So let's say May 5th. No, 1996. You can set your gender in here. So I'm going to set that to male. Position, let's put in defense. Parenting guardian, first and last name. I'm not going to put those in, and I'm not going to do email for right now. I'm going to hit next. Now it's creating that player, and then I can assign them into a player pool. So this one I'm going to put into my U14 boys, and then I'm also going to give them their number. So I'll do 1268. Then I can also, while I'm adding this walk-up player at the same time, take their picture. So again, click on the picture, switch it. Take the picture of the player, hit save. Now in the course of just a couple seconds, I have fully added a walk-up player, brought them into the system, created them, and took their picture and added them into this evaluation. I'm just gonna go in here. It looks like it didn't take the number that I put in. Put them back into U14. I'm not doing eval group for now. Give them a number, hit save. And now I've got that player in there. So I can go in here and add these players. I can search for any of the players that I want. So you can see the search at the top. So I could do GAB. So I pull up any of the people that have those initials by searching at the top. Again, I can edit any of these players, their registrations for this evaluation. So I can click into this guy at the top. I can change his player pool. If he's switching into a different evaluation group because he's going to be playing against some different players, I can go say hit red, change his number, hit save, and now those have all changed. So now I can X out of this. I've got all the players selected that I want. One of the things we updated recently too in the mobile app is our filters. So if you're in here and you're going to be evaluator scoring players as well as doing the mobile check-in, I can click here in the lower right on the filter icon, and I can see I've got filters. So I can filter by specific evaluation groups. On the right-hand side, the positions of the players, and I can sort too. So I want to sort by number, sort by last name, evaluation group, or position. I'm not going to apply any of those, but if I wanted to, I'd hit the green check mark, and it would let me add any of those in there. I'm going to hit the X. So I've checked in all my players. I want to go in and start scoring these players. Maybe the last thing I want to do is take pictures of a couple that were pre-registered, but I didn't get their pictures. You can quickly click on the camera icon, take a picture of those players, hit use photo. It'll crop that quickly, and then you'll have that picture available for reporting, scoring, looking at the player in different places across Team Genius. I'm going to go down and hit start scoring now. So I hit start, and I've got, this is going to be in one of the forms that I set up. So I've got my players checked in. I want to go in and score some players. Works just as you would expect. I can hit the voice recognition, so I can go in here, click in, and either type in some comments, or I can do voice recognition, so I can hit the microphone and it will actually dictate the words that I'm speaking into the text. So if you want to leave detailed comments for your players, it'll add those in there. One of the advanced features that some organizations are using now is with our one of our different packages is also video. So if I want to do video as part of my evaluation process, I can click on the camera, hit plus, take video, and I can actually flip this. I'll flip it to me, hit record. And so I can record, say I'm a coach giving feedback, say, great job on 1, 2, 3 things during the season. You've got these 1, 2, 3 things you can improve on, but great deal for the season. Hit stop, use this video, and then it will upload that video. You can actually write some notes wherever you want to that part of the evaluation. So some really cool stuff we added in. So we've added in, the ability to add walk-up players, but really a lot to the mobile app. So we've added in those filters, the ability to take pictures, the ability to do voice dictation for the notes that your coaches might put in. We've got the ability to put in video for both evaluation skills of the players, but then also coach feedback. So some really cool things on the mobile app side. Now I'm going to go in and look at a couple of the things that were not directly related to the mobile app, but some of the most recent updates that we pushed. I'm going to stop my screen share for just 1 second, check on the people that we've got that are in, and it looks like we've got everybody in the waiting room in. And I'm going to reshare my screen on Team Genius on my app, so you can see back in this evaluation. And a couple of things that I can do now is I can actually click into my results. And now I can go and look at the results in this evaluation that were put in. I can see all the players, the ones that I took pictures of, I can see. I'm going to go to rankings and team placement. And in rankings and team placement, I can see a couple of things. I can see the scores that were put in. If I had media that was put in on any of my players, I can actually click on media and watch that video that I just took right here on that player. X out of that. The evaluators. So this is something we rolled out just this week. It's one of the updates that I'm excited to be able to show you guys. Is if I click on evaluators, as in the past, you've been able to see different evaluators that have put in scores on your players. Now you can actually set those weights. So say if I had, a head coach and I wanted their score to translate into, 75% of the rolled up weight, and an assistant coach or two, and in this example, I've got 2 coaches. Now I can set the weight of those scores they put in. As before, I can also deselect someone and either add them back in or pull them out. If you deselect people in the evaluators roll up, it will take their scores out of the roll up as well as any of the reporting. So I'm gonna hit save. So evaluator weights is a big thing we just rolled out, and you can see that up in the evaluators tab. The other thing is, so I set this up as different scoring sessions. So we've got a skill session and 2 game sessions in this example. It could also be for in-season evaluations. It could be preseason, in season 1, in season 2, and end of season. Now, one of the things, if I roll over to the left-hand side in the left navigation, go to evaluation schedule, I can see that now I can adjust those weights. So say tryout scenario or multiple evaluations over the season, I can actually go in here and click on the weights. So I want to have, for this example, maybe my skills are going to be worth, let's say 50%. And then each one of my games are going to be 25%. Now I actually changed the session. So in the skills session, I've got a form that is just the skills. And for games 1 and 2, I use the same scoring form, but now I can actually set the weights of those different sessions. And so those session weights have been now set. Again, now I can go back to results and I can view the different scores that came in the aggregate scores or rankings and team placement. And I can go up into my evaluators if I want to adjust the weights in there as well. Now, one more time, I'm going to go back into adding some players in the mobile app. Just to run through that quickly to show you guys how fast we can do that with the new updates and how we do that. And then I'll open up for questions and answers. So initial setup here, if I'm in my Team Genius account, going from the main home screen, I'm going to click into the evaluation that I want to enable people to be able to do the mobile check-in. First step is going to be really they need to download the most recent version of Team Genius in either Android or iOS, one word together. Then we're going to go into setup, user permissions, and I'm going to go into inviting those users. If they're already in here, great. Often they may not be, but I'm going to go invite users, put in the email address of that user, click on player check-in only. So this the coach, the person, the parent that's helping, the evaluators put in their email address. Then they're going to get an email in their inbox from Team Genius that's going to say you've been invited on behalf of your organization to set a password in Team Genius and work on that side of the process. They set a password, and then they'll go in with the access key, either the access key for, would be the general access key here at this point. So if I log in with that access key, then I go into my evaluation. I'm going to X all the way out. So I've got that access key. So they're going to log in with their name, the email address, and the access key for starters. I'm going to hit sign in. And then we're going to go into, maybe I'll do a different session. Maybe this is the game 2 session. And we go in here and we want to be able to either check players in or move them between their evaluation sessions because they've moved to a different step of our process. I'm going to click on the plus. It remembered me because I already logged in on this device, haven't logged out since. You would also log in with that email address and then the password that they set to be able to do the mobile player check-in. You can see the players here. Again, I can search at the bar on the upper right, click and type in the player's name, GAB. I'm going to pull up this guy, edit some details. I'm going to click on the green box that contains his details. I could change pools, but I want to track his score across the entirety of the evaluation. So I'm going to go into evaluation group. I'm going to put him in the green group, and he's going to change numbers for this day. So he's going to be number 90210. I could also take another picture if I wanted to. I'm going to hit save. And then maybe we've got a player that didn't make it for our skills evaluation, but they're a good player that came back from, playing for the organization 2 years ago. And I want to add them into this game now, for this game. So it's going to be, let's say Bob. Bob Wally, set his birthday in here. As long as it's not today, it's his birthday today, but he was born in 1994. Set the gender, put in the rest of the details that you want here. I'm gonna hit next. So I'm gonna hit save. So I save and create Bob. I'm gonna pull up Bob. I'm gonna put him into the correct parts of this evaluation. So I'm going to click him into his player pool, put him into an evaluation group. So he'll be red evaluation group. Give him a number for this assessment. Hit save. And so now he's checked in and ready to be evaluated as part of this. Now, if I want to add his picture, I can click back into Bob right from here, or say he's, you already did this and you're doing this as you added him in. Click on the picture. Take Bob's picture, hit use photo. It's going to crop that and then instantly apply it in the various parts of Team Genius where you'd use that picture. I can exit out of here now. And so I'm entering back into the kind of standard evaluation features. You can see all my players. Again, I can go down to the lower right where I've got the sorts and filters. I want to apply maybe just the green players. I'm going to hit the green check mark at the bottom. So these are just my green players. Hit start. I'm going to go in here and put in some scores. And I just realized I don't want to do this view. So I'm going to click in the hamburger menu in the upper left. I want to go to criteria view, and I want to see the overall scores of these players. That's what I'm going to score now. So I can put in a score and look at this player, look at this player, look at this player, put a score in there. You can see the first time that these are saving, the green check mark is applying. That's letting you know that these have been auto saved in the system. And that is the gist of getting through the mobile app. I'm going to go back into the main dashboard here. I can go back into results. And just a quick recap again, we have the ability to set the weights as a new thing in the sessions, across the sessions, and then also the evaluator weight. So I'm going to stop here and see what comments anybody has or questions. Feel free to unmute yourself and share video if you want.
Hey Gabe, this is Rick from Southern Minnesota Select. Once we have the players checked in, we anticipate probably using it for tryouts coming up. When they check in, we get their information, we take their picture, but I don't necessarily want my coaches attached to a device during the tryout. Is there a way to print out the evaluation sheets with the players' names and pictures on them so they can have a written copy or a paper copy?
So definitely you can print out a paper copy. So you can, you could still even use the mobile app for checking players in. So you didn't have to have people tied to a laptop, but you
Right.
can definitely print a paper copy. Give me 1 second. I'll show you how you would do that.
Right.
I'm not sure if the images come up on the paper copy, but let me show you how this looks. So I'm going
I
to share my
anticipate
screen.
using tablets for our check-in instead of instead of a laptop. So we would still be using the mobile device, such as a tablet or iPad, to check them in, and then printing from that, and then handing them to the evaluators.
Okay. Just because they don't want to use you don't want to have them using devices while they're actually out on the field with the players.
Yeah, I think it's just too much for them, and I want their eyes primarily on the players.
Okay, totally understand that. So yeah, what you could do here is for this evaluation, I could actually click into reports, and then I can go into down at the bottom here, paper scoring form. So I can click on paper scoring form and say we want to do one for our skills. So it's the evaluation session skills, the scoring form skills, this player pool. I could do even a specific evaluation group. So say my green players, and then I can set some settings here if I want to. I can set that I have name and number, landscape or portrait mode, font size. I can set to show comments or not. Then I can create this report. And then this is going to give me, as you can see here, I don't think it's going to pull over the pictures. So
Okay.
it will give you the evaluation group of your players, the player's number, their first and last name, and then all of the different criteria that you've got set, as well as the ability to put in comments. Then you can
Okay.
see it also at the top right, you've got the ability to put in the coach's name, email, and date that they put those in.
Okay.
Would you, in doing this, would you have the coaches then put these in themselves, or would you have someone in your organization put in those scores that they brought out?
Somebody within the organization would input the scores immediately after that evaluation was done. So the coaches would then hand them to somebody, and then while the next group is going, they would be inputting the scores. So we have, for instance, we use 2 different sessions. The first 90 minutes, we do we'll say a 2005 player pool, and then an hour and a half later, we'll have the 2003 player pool doing the tryouts. So somebody would be inputting the 2005 group while the 2003s are going.
Okay.
So we would have them immediately after the sessions were over within the system and stuff.
Okay. So to facilitate that, if you really don't want to use mobile apps as far as putting the scores in, what you could do is have whoever's going to be putting those in, if the evaluators aren't going to put their own in, grab the general access key, which will get them into all the different sessions, and then go into our web evaluation tool. I don't know if you can, it's eval.teamgenius.com. And it's a replica of our mobile app. So you'd log in, and my suggestion would be log in as that coach, right? So if it was coach, Bob, and coach Bob, and it's, bob@gmail.com, for example, the email address that coach put down, log in with that access key. And then you're going to be able to quickly go to that part of the evaluation that they're doing. So say it's a skills one, and we'll go into, you could filter by, player pool if you had multiple player pools. Go pick the players. So I've got all the players selected that Coach Bob selected. I'm going to go to skills here, because you're going to take over the skills from the scoring from skills, and then instead of doing the scoring controls that are the replica of the mobile app, we're going to do the scoring grid. And this was created really to facilitate that. So then you've got somebody that's got those scores, and you can tab here. So say they got 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 4. You can tab in those scores really easily, or whoever's going to be the person putting these in, for easily putting in those scores. So,
awesome.
And then you'll have all the data for exporting or using team placement or doing those various things.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Rick, this is Craig O'Rourke. I've just got a quick question for you. Have you guys used this in the past?
Nope, first time.
I've used it the last 2 years. And just a suggestion, if you do open gyms, you might want to consider having your coach try the online scoring during the open gym. It's actually, we found it to be easier than writing it down. The first year we kind of did what you're doing. So it's just a suggestion, but open gyms are a good time to practice.
Okay.
And I suggest doing it.
Yeah, our kids right now are in high school season, and stuff. So we don't have access to them.
How about the little kids, like the 12s and stuff? Or don't you do that?
No, we're 05s and to 02s.
Okay, I gotcha. All right, that's different.
Yeah. So no, but thank you for the suggestion. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you got, Gabe, have you heard of anybody doing, I know what the big clubs in the metro do. The commit date is November 1st this year for volleyball athletes, and they'll still be playing in their high school teams, so they can't come in for a tryout. And these clubs are going to try to commit those kids early. So to figure out which kids they want, they're going to try to go by personal experience with those kids in the past, high school, watching high school games or taking film or bringing them in for like a private lesson and seeing what they do. Have you heard of anybody doing or using that approach and not actually pulling a bunch of kids into a gym, the COVID threat going on?
Yeah, no, I have. A couple of things, ways that you can do that is, building out an evaluation and having, one would be setting it up in a way where you could have the players do some self-assessment. So if I share my screen here, having it set up so that, maybe they're going to be in the teams they're going to be in, and having it so the players could actually do some self-assessment as part of this. And then having on the, using that video feature from our mobile app. I think my share killed here, but yeah, having the ability to, have the players either use that video feature to video themselves doing some of these things, or say your coaches get, sent some video clips to their device, then they could upload those. And then you'd be able to go into, the results either way, if they did them themselves or if the coaches did them, and you could go in here and, look at those media clips of how the players were doing. And use this, in combination with having a scoring form or even a web evaluation tool open, so you could actually have, have them send in the video, watch the video, rank them on how they did in some of these things, and then right away just drop them into, that potential team placement for the season.
Okay.
So we definitely had, especially this year, more clubs that are looking at doing that. The other thing is, if you use Team Genius for a while, we have our lifetime player development reports. So if we go into, the development reports, and I pull up any one of my players because I want to see how they did in the past. Let's just put GAB with this guy, and I can see all the different evaluations that this guy's been part of. Select which ones that I want, and then generate a report that's going to show all those data points. So maybe if it's a player that you've used Team Genius with for the last 2, 3, 4 years, I'm going to be able to look in here at those data points and how they did on, defense or offense or serving or speed, any of these kind of things, and use this in combination with the data that they send in and what you guys know to form those teams without necessarily having to have them in for a true, an in-person tryout, called a virtual tryout, so that you can, I've seen a lot of organizations this year in particular doing those more virtual tryouts and then putting the team, players on those teams, and then sending them offers while you still, as soon as that window's open, to make sure you can get them in your organization.
Can you show me how you got that video? So like if they were to submit their own video, how would they do that?
Yeah, so it would be setting up an evaluation in a way that, by either team or age group, and they would go in. Give me 1 second, I got to share my device again here.
They can't just send me a video clip.
They could, yep. So they could send you a video clip you need to get it on your mobile device where you got Team Genius, but then you could upload it right to their profile, 7639, and track it that way. So let me just pull up my device here. Pull this over. Okay, so I'm in my iPad, and just imagine, you had your skills for one of these players, and I click on the video icon. And this is one of our, the newer features we've rolled out with one of our leveled packages, but I can hit plus, and I can do add video or photos. So I would just add video from your device if you had them email them in, or you could have set it up in a way where they would actually do some self-evaluation, do some drills or some things, and hit, take video. And then it would really be just, imagine shooting it, recording in the device, right on your iPad or phone, whatever it's going to be, stop. When you hit use video, you have the ability to actually put some notes on here. So if you click in the lower left, you'd be able to put, speed and, hitting or something. So you actually put some reference notes in here, click on the plus green check mark on the bottom, and then it will save that. And then you're going to be able to see this on this player for this criteria inside of that evaluation. So yeah, it gives you a lot of options. So even if you just want to do it in the most basic way, have them email one person those pictures, those videos to their phone, upload them to the evaluation of certain parts. So maybe it's the skill that's related to, and then you and your coaches can come into the dashboard here, look at those players, pull up that media clip, watch those clips together, as an organization, and then really easily, while you're watching these clips, give them some scores on whatever that was. So, and I've seen that work pretty well when people are doing, kind of non-traditional virtual tryouts for the players that aren't going to show up in person. And if that's something you want to set up, we can certainly work with you on getting that set up so it works well for you. So.
Okay, thanks. I suspect that's where we're headed, at least for some of it.
Because the kids are doing, you said they're doing high school stuff already, and so it's kind of conflicting because of the starts.
Yeah. So, yeah, USAV determines when we can start signing players to commitments. And in the metro area, it's, my kids have their choice of 50 different clubs all within a short drive. So other clubs are going to start committing them on that first date, but they can't bring them in for a tryout because kids aren't allowed to come in and try out with a club by the high school league rules. So one way around that is that clubs are going to try to evaluate players without bringing them in for an in-person tryout, either going and watching them play somewhere, getting an interest form or something from the kid saying, yeah, I want to be evaluated. And then on that date that we can commit players, you offer them the ability to commit to your club, saying we have a position for you. If you want to sign this commitment, go ahead. And then what they'll do is what they've always done, the big clubs have always done, is then they bring them in on, when the first day is that they can have kids after their high school seasons end. Then they bring them in and actually then worry about sorting them into, are you on the ones team, twos team, threes team, etc. So that's what they're doing. And I may have to get into that same game if I want to keep my good players. So the other question I have is, when I'm evaluating a 12-year-old on their serving, and a 16-year-old, I'm just wondering what works better and what have you seen is, if 5 is this kid's perfect, is he perfect for a 12-year-old or is he perfect for the skill? Because if I want to show development over time, it's kind of a difficult thing, right? But then you'll never have a 12-year-old who's any more than a 3. They're progressing or however you score that. So
I'd say, it really is a lot of times an organizational change if you want to do that kind of long-term tracking and development. What I've seen work well is organizations maybe move to a 10-point scale. And you can put in our instructions and tell your evaluators, really those ranges. So have it on 10-point scale available for any of your players, but really, if they're 8 years old to 10 years old, they could get, between a 1 and a 3. And if they're, 10 to 13, they can get between a 3 and a 6. And if they're, 13 to 17, they could maybe up to a 9. And if you're, 17 to 18, you get a 10 if you're in that ability. So kind of studying those ranges, and you can use, smaller increments if you want to within those ranges, because the system you can set down to a 1/10 of a point increment. So using those ranges to set, what your evaluators can score on based on the ages. So you really have that progression over time on how the players are, scoring and then being evaluated even for tryouts. You can also do different things where if you want to break out, different, tryout or evaluation session by different age groups, even having you could have a different assessment for each one of those, where you've got maybe even different criteria or different things for each age group. If you're looking at different things like developmental skills versus pure athletic ability versus, some of those kind of things.
Yeah, it's kind of how we've done it in the past. But in the past, what we did is we evaluated them on their own age level. So probably the best kid in the gym scores the highest on that skill, and the weakest kid is on the other end of that scale. But it was just specific to those age levels.
Yeah. I know working
And
with some big national organizations that might have 10,000 kids, what I've seen work is that using the same points, right? So using like maybe a 10-point scale, but then using those ranges that would apply to the various age groupings, and then making sure that your evaluators know those ranges within those ages, and then you can really track their progress over years of developing.
Okay.
What do you guys do as far as sending offers? Do you use Team Genius right now to send offers after you place players on teams, or how do you track that stuff?
we haven't in the past.
Okay.
In the past, we had them all in a gym. Team Genius is great about giving you a score right away. We would quickly assign them to teams. Once that team was assigned, we'd pull them aside and say, you're on this team, you're on this team, you're on that team. And it all happened in one day in the gym. It was a long, painful, arduous day. But I don't see that happening this year. It's just times have changed. I'm going to have to figure out something else.
Well, we do have, a lot of organizations that are doing offers right away, send an offer, of that placement through Team Genius, where you can just drop in the placeholder of the team that you want to offer them on and make a link in there to either two things that could be something that that you track a acceptance or rejection, possibly in a Google form or something that's easily set up to track if they're going in, or if they're going to accept, just a link to whatever your management system of choice is. So Sports Engine or Team Snap or League Apps, where they would just pay then for that season right away. And we have some advanced email tracking where you can actually see, if they were received, if it was opened, when it was open, these kind of things, if you're really tightly tracking those offer letters.
Okay. That brings me to another thing. Integrations. If you guys could look at integrating with Groundwork, that would be great.
What do you guys do with Groundwork?
Groundwork is a payment processing system. I can set up my teams in Groundwork.
Okay.
It would be great if I could import my teams directly from Team Genius into Groundwork. Groundwork for nonprofits like us doesn't charge any fees. So they process all the bank fees, and they can give me the choice of passing the credit card fees on or eating them myself, and they do that sort of stuff. So it's, right now I take my registrations in Sports Engine, I take my payments in Groundwork, I do my evals in Team Genius. It's getting to be more systems that don't talk to each other, but I save so much money.
So Groundwork is really just so that they process the payment so that you don't have to pay the fees on it. I mean, I would think that you'd be able to set a link to wherever that player would play, through the Team Genius offer process, and then have them, go right there and pay that way.
Yeah, if there's a way to edit that form on the offer letter, I could just put a hyperlink on that form to the team. So
yep, yeah, and we can do that. So through our email templates, you can have as many templates as you want for different things. And we just made some more recent tweaks where those are, I think, even more editable than they were in the past. So
yeah, I've never seen the offer part. So
okay,
did you demo that today?
Yeah, let me show you real quick, what some of the things that we can do with that. So
okay,
I'm going to share my screen again. Share. So you imagine you've got these players here. And so for this example, I've just got a couple that are put onto teams. Imagine you've got, different players that you have on different teams. And so these players, if we want to email them all their offers at once, we can actually go into messaging, send emails. And I can include a report or not. So it could be, at this point, I'm not going to do a report. I really just want to send them an offer on being a part of a team. And so I'm going to go and filter by this example. I want to get all the players that have been put on teams. So it's going to pull up those players. I've got only one with an email address, so I'm going to send it to the one that's got an email address. But in the perfect scenario, you'd have, say you've got 150, 300 players that you want to send offers to. You're going to see that players, them or their parents and guardians emails here. From address is going to be you or whoever in your organization is going to send it out. From name, and then templates. We've got a lot of different templates here. I would say, tryout results would be a good one to start. I'll just do one of these. I'll just create one from scratch. So I'm going to go in here and put in, you have new offer for the 2021 season. And you can really put whatever you want in here, but then in the body of it, I can put in placeholders. So I can say, put in the player's first name. We are happy to for UA on, and then put in a placeholder that would be that team name. So I'm going to go put in the team for the 2021 season. And then you could do something like, you know, to pay and register. And then you could put in a link. It could be, you know, and we can put it into, and I can insert that. I'll delete that part. All right, I'm just gonna use an example here.
Yeah, groundwork is ground.work, just so you know, but that's fine. So,
Is it .com?
you know, actually, I'm not sure. I think it's just ground.work, but
Okay,
you know, no, I don't
So I
even think it's www, but all right.
okay. So yeah, so I can put it in if once I have the correct one here, you know, a link for them to click on and register, and then, you know, so then, you know, as simple as something like this, you know, set up a offer letter that's got, you know, custom inserts of the players. You can do first and last name. The system will automatically put in the team that they're going to be on. And then you can put in the link that's, you know, a hyperlink into pay and register. And this is a full HTML editor too. So you can put in, you know, your logos, you can put in images and graphics, any other things that are applicable to this process. And then if I hit send message, it's going to send this. Once you send this, couple things. So you can have a template so you can easily do this for as many players as you want. You can also do it all your players at once. So if you get them team placements, you can send this out to say 300 players, and they're all going to get a separate email. It's going to be, you know, with their name, the team, and then the link to go register. And then once you go into email history, you're going to be able to go in and see tracking on that. So you'll be able to see. Let me see if I got one here. A good example. So you'll be able to see, you know, when it was sent out, the status of it going out, and some other details as far as the email going out. So
I can use this throughout the season for emails, not just the tracking's nice to know if they opened it or not. So.
Yeah. So that's, the tracking is something that we released, I think earlier this spring. So you actually see if things were opened or not. So just a lot of things to try to help with, you know, if you're going to do the offer process, and it's important to you to see the players that have accepted and maybe the ones that, you know, haven't gotten it. I guess more importantly, if they haven't gotten the offer, then maybe following with a phone call or another email and just making sure they see that offer and move forward with the process. So I think especially in the world of, you know, doing things virtually, I think that'll be easy to do and a lot more effective than, you know, trying to get a hold of somebody that's not really there, give them the offer that you did digitally, and then try to get them to pay. So.
Yeah, especially if you don't have them all in one place at one time, and time is important, because if a kid doesn't get a spot on your team, they may go looking for another one. So,
yep.
And
yeah, I know we have a lot of volleyball clubs. Actually, just a lot of different organizations where it's very much that, where, you know, there might be a bunch of clubs in the area, and as fast as you can get them the offer and sign, then that's awesome, because then you capture that player versus, you know, waiting for a day, and they might go try out another club that, you know, who knows about that club, might be cheaper, might be something different, and they get an offer and they sign while you're trying to figure out, you know, who should be on what team. So
right.
That's where the team placement comes in, you know, pretty nicely. No question on that. So once they register and paying groundwork, then in Sports Engine, do you put the teams back into Sports Engine?
Yeah, because we have all their original registration information captured in Sports Engine, then we roster them on teams and create team sites and all that stuff.
Okay.
So
that's, I don't know if you've seen those options too, where, you know, one of the things that we added in was the ability to push these automatically back to Sports Engine. So if you've got, you know, if you did groundwork for your payment and you confirm those and the players are all set, then you can hit the, sync teams of Sports Engine, and it will just push those rosters for the season of those players back into Sports Engine for you.
Yeah, that'll be nice. So
And
that's
then one
new
other
this
thing.
year, right?
Yep. We've had that for a little while. We just keep adding things. What is new this year, though, is adding in our teams feature. So if you've got your teams in here and then roster the way you want, now you can actually see your teams, second half of your main home screen here on the bottom, and you've got some actions. So you can actually email all your players on that team. So say you've got a different time practice, or you've got a different event time coming up. You can actually go and hit email players, and it's going to fire up the email process or messaging process for just the players that are on that team. So you can use as a team, communication tool as well.
Okay.
So a lot of stuff. We're always adding in things that are helpful.
Yeah, some really nice new stuff this year.
Let's see. I'm not seeing any other questions right now. If anybody else has questions, or Craig, if you have any other questions, certainly keep it open for another 10 minutes here. I'm excited to see people. Anybody that's on here, if you get a chance to use it, go in and try it out. Tell me what you think of the the mobile check-in. Certainly looking for feedback, and I think that it's going to be really good for a lot of people. I mean, especially say you've got tryouts and you want to keep it less people in one line because of maybe COVID or something. You could have 10 lines that are shorter. Everybody's got their phone, and you just boom, 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 check everybody in. Or one organization I was talking to, their plan was already to use that. I think they might have used it this last weekend, and have the players come in and go to their coaches or the stations they're going to be at, and kind of bypass a big central check-in area. So going right to the station they're going to be at with the coaches, and then the coaches were going to check them in, so that there isn't a bunch of people, 150 people waiting in line, just waiting to get into the facility. So I think there's going to be a lot of uses for it.
Have you considered doing some sort of self check-in where we could just post like what do you call those barcodes? Takes you to a URL type barcode, and they check themselves in.
I haven't heard that one yet, but I can certainly.
A QR code.
Okay.
You just put a QR code on there. It takes them directly to a site they could self check in. That'd be handy.
Would that work for your process? I mean, do you have to give them, jerseys or with a number on it, or is there anything that they need when they come into?
Yeah, but it would prevent me from having people there just banging on a keyboard or a tablet.
Okay.
They could walk in with their own phone. Oh, this is how my kids do their COVID check-ins and answer that they don't have any symptoms and all that. They come in, they scan the QR code, it takes them to my form, and they fill it out, and they're done. Right.
Okay.
So basically, the check-in form I think could be done the same way. It might be slicker. So.
I have had a couple organizations that are using, part of an assessment to have a coach track some of those things. So like when the players come up to their coach for in-season stuff or for before games, they'd actually have a daily part of the evaluation where they come up and just agree or disagree to, that I have or haven't been in contact with people, or I don't have a fever, or these kind of things. And I've definitely seen people starting to use our system for doing some of that. I think we had some chats earlier in the spring. I think it's interesting, when you have players versus their parents maybe saying yes or no to those things. I mean, I've been in sports my entire, life so far. I still do some powerlifting and kickboxing and biking. And it's like, I was trained to, you go out and you play your sports no matter what's going on with you. If you're sick, if your knees are broken, if you got broken fingers or toes, if you're, dying on the field, you still go out and do the best you can. And I think that's just, maybe it's going to be a change in the way kids are, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I see my kids doing this too, is there's nothing that's going to stop them from going and wanting to play in their games. So I just think maybe kids aren't the best, always the best in being honest on that stuff. I mean, I remember playing football with, literally three fingers and one hand broken, and still going out and playing a full game. It's like, oh, tape it up, just go do it. So
rub some dirt on it.
Yeah. But no, good.
Yeah,
I will bring those back to our development team, though. The idea of having the players, self-check in with a QR code to change the process a little bit. So I'll always love suggestions and just ideas that can help people. And we really do change a lot. I mean, we've had people asking for this, mobile check-in for forever, since I've been here 3 years. And here we go, we got it, and then we had people that wanted to do the weightings. Honestly, those are things that people have wanted to be able to do evaluator weights for a while. So if you've got a master coach and assistant coaches that are, who knows the process, maybe it's an in-season eval, end of season evaluation, or you're looking at games of players. And so you can really, weight it towards if somebody's supposed to be able to have a higher weight in the way they score a player, then you can do that now. So.
Right. I'm trying to think of what else. Oh, the speech to text, that wasn't there last year, was it?
We're probably just starting to roll it out. So,
Okay.
Yeah, as long as you've got, good Wi-Fi or data, wherever you're doing it, you can hit the button it does a couple things. So you can do the voice recognition in comments. So if you or your coaches are leaving comments, you can also move around between scoring forms if you've got multiple scoring forms, and then between players. So if you use numbers for players, you can hit a player number, and it'll jump to that player. So you can say, player 1, 2, 3, it'll jump to that player. So there's a couple different instances in the app where you can use that voice recognition. It'll do some things for you.
Okay.
Always trying to make it smarter and easier. So.
Yeah, when we actually have decent Wi-Fi in gyms, that'll be the real solution. But that's still my biggest barrier. Most gyms don't have very good access to Wi-Fi.
Are people using their own phones and things on their data plans then? Yeah,
but even that, I mean, it's some gyms we walk into, you can't even get a cell connection. You couldn't make a text out of there. So,
okay.
So we'll start the eval, and then you got to run out in the hallway and get to the nearest access point. So you download the new kid who checked in because he's not on your list when you go to evaluate. So
I was going to say we have the the offline. We have the offline mode where you can do all the scoring in offline, but like you said, if you have new people checked in, you'd still need to get some kind of Wi-Fi or data access to see them refresh on your lists. So.
Right. Yeah, it's just you're not going to be able to solve every problem. So.
No. Well, thanks for your input and questions and things today, Craig.
Yeah.
I will.
Thank you.
Anybody? Yeah, you're welcome. Anybody else have any questions or comments as we wrap it up here? We got about 5 more minutes of the time, or I'm certainly welcome to end early and give everybody a couple minutes back to their day too. All right, I'm going to shut it down. Thanks everybody for joining today, and let us know if we can help with anything else. If you've been on here, just email Gabe at teamgenius.com, and I can help with any questions that come up. Thanks.